there's some updates for the Yankees in terms of injuries. Aaron Boone spoke a couple of, let's say, half hour ago and gave injury updates on Ian Hamilton and a really important one on Jason Dominguez.
Hamilton's getting close. I mean, he's into his throwing program and stuff like that, so doing well. So still a little ways away from being an option because he's got to sides and get into lives and things like that. Jason's doing well. He had live BP yesterday in Tampa, I think off of Birdie. And then he's actually headed to Scranton. I don't know if it's today or tomorrow. Get built up a little bit, and then he should be playing, games within the week. So he's very close.
Wow, if he's playing games within a week, then he could be up here maybe in 3 weeks, 2.5 weeks. That would be big for the Yankees because they miss him. They missed him with Stanton out. That was the time for him to come up, but obviously not the case, so they've tried to piece it together and make it work, but that would be a difference maker. Now, Narvaez is starting behind the plate for the Yankees. This is after Austin Wells had played 4 straight games coming out of the All-Star break. And Wells has played well, hitting .270 over his last 29 games, 6 home runs and 16 ribbies. So he's actually played quite well. And Boone spoke about Narvaez starting.
I'm excited for him to get back there and get his first start. He can really catch. Smart, really good presence to him, plays the position with a lot of confidence. Excited that he's a guy, going into spring training, you guys that cover us a lot know that he's somebody that I have a lot of confidence in and believe a lot in the person, and excited for him to get back there. And he's caught Luis Heel a lot in his life, so hopefully it's a good fit.
And finally, Aaron Boone and Carlos Mendoza are quite close. Mendoza was the bench coach for Boone for the last 4 years before getting the Met job. And Boone spoke about the job that Mendoza has done so far.
I think he's handled himself really well and obviously been a presence for them over there. Not surprising to me. He and I have gotten to be so close over the years, and I just know how good of a baseball person he is and how good of a person he is. So I'm not surprised that he's handled, everything that's kind of come his way. And, he's been through a lot already in the first few months with some of the struggles and some of the things you just got to deal with on and off the field. I feel like he's just looking from afar, handles everything really well. Not surprising. Expect him to do this for a long time, as long as he wants to. He's a really good baseball man.
Well, I got to give credit to Mendoza, Donna. I'm sure you feel like this as well. Yeah, it could have gone. It could have gone off the rails, because there was a time where the Mets just looked lost in the middle 35 games of the season. Well, the first 20 they go 12-8. That's good, right? Next 35 they go 10-25. That's the worst in baseball. Last 44 they go 29-15. That's the best in baseball, and you can't say that it just clicked and happened. He actually made the move to put Lindor leading off.
Right.
That was a big deal. He actually said and showed it by sitting down Jeff McNeil, you're not playing. And he played Jose Iglesias, who's been, I think he's hit .385 since being called up, and has been a spark plug on the team with the OMG song and all of that. There are things that he has done that has actually made this happen, and he tried to keep it together when Francisco Alvarez was down with the injury after he hurt himself in L.A. I think he's been a big part of this. Now, Mets are a heavily analytic team. And that Mendoza knew the analytics with the Yankees as well. So I'm sure analytics with the Mets played a role in all of this. But he has really had a steady hand. And I'm sure Yankee fans are a little envious because you know what? He's been a little critical of some of his players in the post-game press conferences.
Yeah, I think he's gone after the players a little bit more. And gone after, obviously, a much different definition in the 21st century than 10, 15 years ago. Even earlier in the 21st century when you could do it a little bit more. But I think he kind of has a little bit more buck in him where he can be supportive of the players, but also let he's not in love with that. As you said, he has benched players. I think sometimes he's thought outside the box a little bit with the bullpen. That hasn't always worked, but there's been times where you think you got it figured out analytically, and he might have a little bit more wiggle room. But the biggest thing, and this is how managers are judged now, that he's been able to keep this team engaged. Remember, they came into this year with the perspective outside of the organization that they were taking a knee, that this was not about 2024, no expectations. Even though Steve Cohen said we expect to make the playoffs, the feeling around Major League Baseball, this was not going to be a good team. And then they start 0-5. And it looks like that's going to confirm that. Then they get off the mat. Then they go down again. There were multiple times, Michael, where they could have folded up shop and didn't. And I think that is a credit to the manager, that he has kept this team engaged despite all of the trials and tribulations they've gone through. And I think that he deserves a lot of credit for that.
Was that your cat barking right then, Don? Or was that something with Peter?
Obviously, it was something with Peter.
Oh.
Yeah, that was Bear. It was not Orange.
Oh, okay.
Or Cisco.
Now let's hear from Luis Severino. Spoke with the media today, and he talked about being back at Yankee Stadium.
I mean, definitely weird. I got a security guard take me here. I've never been on this side. It's good to see a lot of familiar faces, Chef, Cubbies, and all those guys that I met from the other side.
He needed help getting to the visiting clubhouse, didn't know where it was. Harrison Bader, who spent a year with the Yankees, a little year plus with the Yankees, he was asked, is it weird to be back at the stadium?
Weird? No, not at all. I'm excited. A lot of excitement. You know, we got a really good clubhouse in here. We're doing a lot of things really well of late. And I'm just excited to apply it, in front of a good crowd. I know how this crowd can be. So now we're just diving right back into it. So I'm very excited.
Now, Don gave you the news when we were talking with David. Christian Scott, such a bright spot for the Mets. He felt elbow discomfort after his first start in Miami. And Laura Albanese spoke with him. She's from Newsday, and he said there's always fear it could lead to Tommy John, and he's going to get multiple people to look at it. So when you hear those words, though, UCL, you can't feel good about it, Don. You can't feel good. And one of the things the Mets had going for them, where maybe they could actually bite the bullet, trade one of their veteran starters. Like maybe you trade Severino's only signed for this year. Maybe you do trade Quintana and get something back that can help you now because you have depth with starting pitching. But now some of that depth just went down. You don't know if and when the guy's going to come back this year.
The thing is, and now you're excited because Senga's coming back, and now you lose another guy. I don't know how much they're really counting on him because they were treating him with kid gloves to begin with. It just shows you it doesn't matter. These guys are going to get hurt no matter what. I mean, that's the frustrating thing, right? You're always watching the innings and the pitches, and these guys still end up getting hurt. That's the frustrating thing. Everybody thinks they got it figured out. Oh, let's reduce his innings, his pitches. Let's not overwork him, and then these guys still end up getting hurt. And I have every reason to believe, Michael, this is probably going to lead to bad news. Now, listen, we've seen it before. Obviously Cole didn't need it. Tanaka ended up not needing it, but you get scared about it. And I would think that even what David said, even if he doesn't need Tommy John right away, I'm sure they're going to be very careful with him the rest of the way. So I don't think you can really count on him. Obviously, he's on the 10-day IL. I wouldn't be surprised if that gets extended, and I would not be shocked at all if that's the last we've seen of him this year.
Well, as a pitcher, he's definitely on the 15.
15, excuse me. So that's 2 weeks right there. And would you be surprised, Michael, if they just said, all right, let's be very careful with him.
That might be the prudent thing to do.
So you get Senga back, but then you lose him. So they're still going to have to look for some depth, obviously. And we don't know how Senga's going to be, how long it's going to take for him to kind of get going. He's going to make a start. I think it's Friday. So we'll see how that ends up going. So you get a good piece of news, and then you get this.